The Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast is dedicated to all things Horus Heresy. This podcast delves into the grimdark universe where Primarchs clash, legions rise, and loyalties fracture faster than a Land Raider's track. But it's not just about the lore of the Horus Heresy. The Accountabilibuddies also explore the gaming side of things, from painting and modeling tips to product reviews and ideas to help you in your hobby. So, whether you're a seasoned Forge World veteran or a fresh-faced scout, this podcast is your Vox channel to the galaxy. Expect discussions on lore, modeling, gaming, and maybe even the shenanigans that your hosts somehow seem to find their way into. Remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there are only two things you can count on: heresy and your trusty Accountabilibuddies.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to the 74th episode of Heresy Accountabilibuddies. This episode is a little bit of a special pre-Adepticon episode, as we're going to go through and talk our plans for Adepticon, some of the new releases that we've gotten teased coming out, as well as this being a special sponsored episode by our friends at Army Painter. Army Painter reached out to us and is helping donate some money to us because honestly, Christina's favorite brand of paint was Army Painter, and it was really nice for them to reach out and help us out with that. My name is John, and this episode I am joined by
Ryan, Dan, Duncan,
Jack.
And to kick it off with hobby stuff, since Adepticon is at this point, I'm going to be leaving in 3 days. I've managed to get all of the bases for the treble bubbles primed up and airbrush highlighted and then washed with the 4 or 5 different washes that I use. I've got to go wait for those to dry tonight, and then I'm going to hit it with all the black wash overall and then dry brushes to bring everything out. I've got some of the spot colors applied to the treble bubbles as we were recording the intro here. I've got all of the new sergeants ready to go. I've got all the medics ready to go except for one final quick highlight of white. And then I've got to do some quick touch-ups on the rust tanks that I'm using, and then also some quick touch-ups on the custodian character for a friend. And then I will officially be ready for Adepticon. So not a ton of stuff to do, but definitely crunch time overall. How about Jack? Are you getting ready for Adepticon?
So yes and no. I wrote an army list that I liked, that I didn't have everything for, so I did that, and now that's done, but it doesn't fit in the bag that I just want to carry one bag, so now I'm redoing my army list so that I can fit it into one bag. So yes, no, and maybe. Duncan, what about you?
Well, I am currently getting ready. After we get done recording tonight, I'll be sealing my jet bikes and done for Adepticon. All the Blood Angels are done for everything. This is the last step I had to do was to get these guys decaled and sealed and painted. I got them all painted last Monday through today. So, yeah, they're done. They're ready for the con. They're ready to go forth and shoot lots of things and be destroyed in turn as they need to be. I'm only taking them from my 4K list, but I'll have them. That's important. Not really working on anything for next year yet. Laying out plans for some tables to put into the basement for Basement Humor, but that's all up in the air as to what may or may not go on. Dan, what have you done?
Yeah. Sorry. I have done a lot, actually. Start with, I played a game today. I realized I don't remember anything about the rules, so I'm going to be miserable, and I'm sure in my wins and losses and gameplay, but that's not anything more than I would normally expect. So that's all good. But hobby-wise, I've been plugging away on details on Gilliman. I have my Daredeo, built a base because I didn't have a right-sized base that matches the rest of my Ultramarines base. But I've got him decaled and colored up to the point where he's at least tabletop ready, so we'll kind of probably keep plugging away on him. I rebuilt the rest of my army that had been smashed. Put a banner together for, I had magnetized a banner for my Cataphracti and put some decals on the banner. So I've got a standard bearer if I bring a Praetor in Terminator armor to lead the army. I went nuts on decaling, so my Ultramarines have been probably 75% for a real long time, and one of the missing things was decals on a lot of the guys, so I got 2 tactical units, pretty much all the transfers decals put on today. And yeah, that's it. So kind of a lot done as we're getting ready for Adepticon for this week, so I'm really happy about that, actually. Brian, I think you're left.
I haven't really been working on anything specifically for Adepticon since I'm not playing in any events. I believe I'm helping with rules questions for Mr. Derek Wood. So I've pretty much just been sticking to my projects of making terrain for 30K and Legions Imperialis for local events. And that's about all the time that I've been hobbying-wise.
So this week for Heresy Thursday, we had previews of Legionis Imperialis Shadow Swords, Storm Blades, and Storm Swords. And so these are pretty much the existing Bane Blade variants that all come with a hull-mounted super heavy weapon, whether it's a volcano cannon, a quake cannon, or a plasma blast gun. And these are complete redesigns from the existing plastic Bane Blade to look more in line with the Legionis Imperialis Russ. Tons of little brass trim everywhere on these tiny tanks. But obviously, I'm looking more forward to seeing them in 28mm. What about you, Dan? What do you think?
Yeah, I honestly, I saw it was Imperial Titanicus or whatever. I didn't pay a lot of attention to them. Never been a huge super heavy tank fan. But I guess more 28mm options are cool. Maybe if they bring them out in plastic, I might actually get one at some point.
Yeah, and that's for Heresy Thursday. Saturday, I went to the Citadel to look for some of the new releases that we'd had rumored. They did not get any of the new apothecaries. They had a couple of the White Scar Stormseer. Sadly, I forgot to count how many parts he is broken down in, but the arms were definitely separate pieces, so it'd be easy to swap over to stuff. They didn't get any of the Siegebreaker. I was looking for him too. They got a whole bunch of the Dark Emissary console, as well as all the Solar Ox boxes. So the Citadel itself got what looked like 8 Solar Ox boxes by the time I got there. And even my friendly game store, which is usually really limited on the amount of releases it gets, got 3 of the Solar Ox full release boxes. And so those came through there. Duncan, do you want to cover what was previewed today on Sunday?
Certainly, I'd love to. So, other than Orcs and Goblins, which apparently are going to for Old World, and they're going to not be available for North America, South America, or Australia for quite some time. For Heresy, we have announced they have announced that the Battle for Beta Garmin book will be available for pre-order. They also have the Solar Ox infantry sections, 3 groups of them. The Last Rifle section, the Tactical Command section, and the Velterra Storm section, that each come with a 125 decal specifically for the Solar Ox, plastic by the way, with a 180 decal sheet. The Lehman Strike tanks, again with decal sheets. The Dracosan with more decal sheets. The 8th Heavy Sentinel. And the part that also makes me really, really happy is they're doing, obviously, a transfer sheet for the Solar Ox vehicles, but they're also putting out a Legion of Astartes Black Shield transfer. And the Black Shield transfer apparently has 829 individual different bids for Loyalist, Traitor, Neutral Renegade.
Yeah, it looks to me like it's the
I
exact
don't know.
same. It's the exact same Black Shield sheet that we had for many years that randomly just got discontinued without telling anybody, and that sheet's been like $90 on eBay.
Yeah.
It's good to see it coming back. What's really cool though is that in the article they show off the Solar Ox sheet, and it looks like it's pretty much just black and white and grayscale, but the amount of different units you get on there, I mean, I'm just seeing there's 2 units that you get like every different inversion of the rainbow of them, and then you also get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other decals, complete sets for different units. So being able to customize your own, whether you want the Ram's head or the Spartan head or the weird triangle things, which is the
Chthonian
stylized
Headhunters.
Aquila. Yep. Yeah, there's a bunch of really cool parts on those sheets that's coming out, as well as all the different Sentinels and things like that. So we can finally start getting people to start looking at their lists, as well as I know I for certain want that book and some of the other stuff.
Yeah, that book for me is absolutely 100% what I want.
What's the likelihood
and-
of that being on pre-sale at Adepticon? Like them just going, "Hey, we have it here for the Heresy people."
Wouldn't that be nice?
I don't see it outside the realm of possibilities.
I'm seeing it about 60-40. 60% chance it's there and available, 40% chance it's not. We'll just kind of have to see, I think.
I will do some shady stuff for it. I'm just letting people know. Like, there's dumpsters out back.
I mean,
like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Being at Adepticon, you know what else is going to be at Adepticon?
Us.
Yes, indeed. We're going to be at Adepticon. So I guess we'll go ahead and start to discuss what our plans are. I know for certain Lucas has kind of helped me out and said that he's got some spots in some of the Fearix full-sized events. So I'm going to bring up all of my Cobra militia, whether they're part of the militia or part of the Solar Ox. That includes some of the units that I need to do ZM with and things like that. So I can pretty much customize wherever I need to go for bringing my militia. If I'm not in an event or maybe a little too inebriated to attend an event, I'm definitely open for late night pickup games and things like that, as well as just hanging out. So is anyone else in the Fearix event? Duncan, I know you and Jack are doing the teams. How's that going to go?
I think we're both signed up for a Fearix event and probably both the teams. I know that's what I have, plus the super secret Zone Mortalis After Dark.
So I am actually scheduled to be in the super secret one. Then I'm in the Taking of Fearix on the 21st for the front line. I'm in the tag teams, and I'm in Fearix After Dark.
You know what we're not talking about?
What's that, Dan? What are we talking? We're not talking about
Wednesday, before everything gets going proper. Adepticon is having a content creator event, and I believe that Jack and Duncan and I will be representing the podcast. So if any of you all are listening and catch this in time, come and see us. Because apparently we create content or something, and they're recognizing that.
Yep.
Yeah, sadly, Jamie and I are going to be on the road, different directions, but about the same time frame. If y'all end up staying a little late, I'd definitely be open to having drinks and hanging out with any fans that want to hang out afterwards.
And we have our stuff in the room. Go down, hang out in the Heresy Hall, say hello to everybody. Just spend the entire time hanging out. Go down to the content creator thing, come back, and then hang out in the Heresy Hall until whatever time something goes on, or we all call it a night and shut the hall down. I'm just going to hang out and do stuff and be there, chill out with people, and have some drinks, see people I haven't seen for a while. This is my vacation. This is literally what I'm going to be doing, is just hanging out with the people here, the people there, and any listeners who want to come by and say, hey. That's the fun part for me.
Definitely my goal is to kind of use this as a way to kind of bookend everything and make sure that, going forward, I can clean up everything. I've got all the projects that I want to do post Adepticon set up. I've got all the obviously family stuff to work on, and I appreciate everyone in the community that's helped out and will be helping out Adepticon for some of that stuff. Everyone that's reached out, it's been really helpful, and Duncan's been a rock in that instance as well. And so I definitely look forward to giving him the big bear hug that he deserves.
You're my brother, man. Can't do anything less.
Yep.
So, Adepticon, we're all looking at events that we're all each in. Jack, you were talking about how you were working on trying to condense stuff down.
Yo.
What are you taking for the events this year?
Oh, well, funny you used to say that. I have, as soon as I find the right mouse, a handy dandy Excel spreadsheet. As you
Really?
do. Yes. Just to make sure I had everything. Across all 3 lists that I have is a chaplain and a praetor. Across all 3 lists that I have is apothecaries of various numbers, dreadnoughts with various armaments, suzerains with various things, and for the zone, the special Praetorian breachers that the Ultramarines have. 3 tack squads for every single game that I'm playing, of various different stuff. And fast for the 3K and 4K, looks like I'm taking 3 javelins, just in, and a couple sabers. And then for heavy support, predators, scorpions, and leviathans, depending on the point level that I'm doing, and if it's allowed or not. And all of that fits in just now a 1520. So I'm now down to 1 bag. Also for my 4K list, I have left 700 points for super heavy of some variety, be it glaive, fellblade, or falchion. So I'll take one of those in the list. I haven't decided which one yet. So that is what I'm taking. What about you, Dan? What are you bringing up? I know you're not signed up for anything, but I know you were getting some lists ready.
So I'm bringing everything, but I have the advantage of that I live here. So, but I basically have my 4,000 point list of Ultramarines will fit. I have an old Sable. I think it's Transport something or another is what it's called. And actually, if I put everything together, I can fit everything in that bag for the Ultramarines. I'm debating throwing the word bearers, so I have my battle foam case that has the word bearers. That's all the drop pods. Whether I bring that or not for Thursday or Friday in case anyone needs a loner army. But basically, yeah, I'm just bringing everything on my Ultramarines. So you've been talking about 4K, and I know there's probably some people like, well, I looked at the list and there isn't a 4K event. That's a kind of our podcasting group, our buddies have set up after hours 4Ks. And the addition to my 4K from what I had before is Gilliman and this Daredale that I've been plugging away at. So it'll be the first time I've ever played with a Primarch in all the time I've played Horus Heresy. So I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah, the 4K is not an official event this year. It is just a get together, throw down with 4K, and have fun. So I'll bring up what I'm taking. So I've got 2 3K lists, a 4K, and a 1500 for the team game. I'm bringing my Blood Angels, but I'm also bringing my Iron Warriors along so that our friend Brian can have an army to play. But right now, I've got a Praetor, depending on which list it is. I've got Assault Squads. I've got Contemptor Dreadnoughts. I've got heavy support squads with assault cannons. I've got Angels Tears. I've got Dawnbreakers, Sky Hunters, and I've got big glorious Hawkboy. And various flavors of those are sprinkled throughout every single list, and that's pretty much it. Each list pairs down from the 4K. It all just kind of pairs down. But the generic list is lots of assault cannons and trying to stay away from hand-to-hand combat as much as possible. Because Blood Angels don't like hand-to-hand combat, I think. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, someone should let me know.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. I'm also planning to take time to walk around and talk to our sponsors. I'm talking to Elrix. I'm going to talk to Monument. I'm going to talk to Army Painter to say thank you for what they did for John. I'm going to go talk to Death Ray. And then I'm going to buy myself at least a table's worth of terrain from Death Ray on my own. And I'm going to see what other various terrain stuff is available so I can make full-on basement hammer going on. Beyond that, I don't really know what I'm really kind of looking for, if anything. I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the Heresy Hall. So, yeah. Just playing games, pick up games, something. Who knows?
Yeah, that's definitely my plan. Is I've got some terrain stuff that I've worked through and kind of organized it all for the table that didn't get finished this year. I'll probably be looking for maybe some other like display things and things like that, so that I can get all those organized and stuff. Trying to just build out more finished tables and more things that can combine with some of the existing terrain sets that I already have to get everything together. So, obviously I've had the 2 or 3 ash waste tables that I can build out of the junkyard, the ash waste terrain itself, and some of the scrap pieces and things like that. But now looking at, okay, well, I have those kind of ruiny Ryza bits. I think that was what they were called. That would look like landing pads and things. I bought a Cromlech conning tower, so that way everyone can organize, and then landers and things like that. And okay, well, what else do I need to make a shipping table? Or I bought a TT Combat large shipping vessel, waterline vessel. And a bunch of shipping containers, obviously, that came from Daiso and things like that. Okay, so what else do I need to make that table a reality? That's going to be kind of my going forward as far as looking for things at Adepticon purchase-wise, is going to be how to expand some of the existing stuff that I've got there, as well as probably talking to people about looking more into 3D printers and things. I've got my own FDM printer. It's probably time that I start buying a resin printer or investing more in friends' times with a resin printer. Michael, it's been on the cast a couple times. I've got projects with him for going forward for some of the things that I want, specifically with Cobra, to make them more of a militia focused. I'm going to go more Ogren heavy, and so I've got some of the snake armor that was in the TV show. Someone made 3D files for those, and I've got the files for those already available to print a bunch of different Ogrens for that. And so then I'll need Gorgons and things like that to expand that list. Or if I want to do Sisters of Silence, I need the jet bikes that GW doesn't make yet, but they've got rules for, so I need printing with that. Yeah, a lot of my, I guess, Adepticon purchases is probably going to be less new projects and more, how can this supplement an existing project? My biggest problem is having so many other existing projects. Although I have enjoyed, last year I bought a lot more hobbying books. I think there was a couple of good basing books and a couple of good, the Dirty Down Rust and stuff like that is another thing that I bought a lot of last year. Stuff that I can just add to existing projects to make them kind of pop. That's kind of where my mind's at now. What about you, Brian? What's your Adepticon focuses, purchases, and hopefuls?
Scouring the vendor hall for terrain interests, as my big focus has been on that for the past year, maybe 2 years. I look forward to getting as much time as I can in with my 30K family, especially with the wife coming down with me this year. She hasn't seen some of you guys in probably 5 years. So Should be good times. Hopefully, Baron of Dice has some interesting dice.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing I spent a lot on last year was him. God,
Yeah.
I remember you and I hit that man up for a while.
Oh yeah. Should be good
So-
times.
I know we're sponsored by a different paint company this episode, but one of our normal sponsors has some new paint sets coming out, and
Yep.
I know for sure that is likely number one on my list of purchases is one of those paint sets that I thought was really a interesting color palette to expand and build on kind of different style of painting than maybe I do so far and do something with it. The other thing I think if they have it, I'm gonna finally break down and buy the one last Escher model that I don't have from the original metal Escher gang. It's one of the Juvies, and if I recall correctly, she has like a wrench with a nut on it or something like that. I've got a picture saved in my favorites on my phone. Because I really don't have much of anything that I'm planning on dumping a lot of money on this year, which is a good thing. I'll probably find something I will anyway, but yeah, paint.
I know every year Badger's there, but I really kind of hope, what's it, H&K, the one that make the Infinity? I really want them to be there one year, because I really want to test drive one of theirs.
Yeah, you don't mean H&K. I don't think Heckler and
Harder
Koch will be there.
Harder and Steinbeck.
Yeah.
I'll take either company that starts with an H, but yeah, honestly, I've got both of them.
If H&K, but if H&S is there, I will use that opportunity to actually play with one of their Infinities and probably buy an Infinity.
You mean you didn't put your pre-order down on the gold one yet?
No, because I don't have $500 to spare to get myself a gold-plated Harder and Steinbeck airbrush. That after I use it the first time will be gold-plated with streaks of various other colors down the side of it. See,
I'll be honest. I've got two of the H&S brushes. I bought one of the original Infinities that came with Cult of Paint, and then I bought the other one from the War Help Out one. And so the texture on the newer one's a little odd for that, but I think for the most part, honestly, they're probably one of the better brushes I've owned. I put in 8 hours of work on them a couple weeks ago when I was still working on Ultramarine stuff, and so I definitely think that they're nice workhorse brushes, but they're definitely tinier stuff. I wouldn't be using them for priming and things like that.
I'll have to remember that because I use my Sotar for everything from priming to detail to everything. So
yeah, and I've found that I still have like all of my airbrush setups around the house. I've got one airbrush set up in the office where I normally do my painting, and I've got one in the garage when I want to do big terrain projects, and they're all set up on QD mounts, quick disconnect mounts, and so that way I can switch between the old Badger 105 that's just set up for siphon feed, and so I can run a 750 milliliter giant bucket of paint, and when I want to spray a bunch of different things, and then pop that off, adjust the pressure a little bit, and go down to the nice finer points when I want to do the Infinity work.
I'm also going to see if I can find maybe one of those tankless air compressors. We'll see. I'm not sure. There's so many things I know I want to get, I want to look at, that I just don't know if I will.
Yeah, and I'll say here, when we're talking about air compressors, there was a big push a while ago to have the wireless air compressors, the ones that kind of clipped in line.
Yeah.
Do not get those.
Yeah, I wasn't looking at one of those. That didn't look like something that appealed to me.
Yeah, and it's cute, but it's not for what we're doing. It's more for nails, where you only need like a little every 5 minutes. So it's definitely not for what we're doing.
Yeah, no, that's not at all what I'm looking for. I'm kind of hobby indecisive at this moment. I know some of what I have planned for this year. I know that one thing I want to do is a table. I know I have a Titan to build and paint, and I know that this air compressor is starting to show its age because it's running for longer and longer and not having as much pressure when I'm using it. So,
Yep.
kind of think it's time to get rid of it.
When mine
Yeah, no,
goes,
mine
I'm going
is-
to get the Harbor Freight air compressor and try that out. Not the blue
which
one,
one
the
was that you got?
silver one.
Is that the tankless?
No, I have to have a tank.
Okay, so is yours like loud as all get out?
No, mine's this. I've had this compressor for probably every bit of 10 years at this point, maybe more. So I know it's going to die at some point.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I'm just looking for one that's doesn't sound like a chainsaw starting up when it starts running.
I'll send you the one that I use. It's an Amazon special,
Okay.
but it seems to work pretty well. I've been working on it. Total, I ordered. Excuse me, it came in May 2020, and I'm pretty hard on compressors because I work. I'll do 7 or 8 hours straight of airbrushing, and it's just now kind of starting to run a bit more than it should. So 4 years of super hard work, and then obviously occasionally forgetting to turn it off between projects.
Yeah,
I-
that sounds like something I could use.
Yeah, I don't run mine near as much as that, but I have likely the same one. It's the tanked Amazon single pump.
Yep.
And honestly, I don't have any issue with it, and mine doesn't seem to even be getting to where it's running hard. It runs a little hot, but it always has. But I especially for the price, I mean, if you can get one that lasts 3 to 5 years at that price point and just keep buying them, it's not a big deal to me.
Yeah, I bought the Amazon warranty on the first one I bought, and it was just even though it's only like $5 to $10, it's still such a pain to swap it out through them because you've got to pay for the shipping and you've got to wait for the investigations to close and a whole bunch of other stuff. It's just easier to go ahead and not buy that and then just know you're going to replace it eventually anyway.
Yeah.
And when I got the one I have with the hot dog on it, I mean, I got it for $79 at Home Depot, like right before, like a year before Jack and I took the first Matt Kane class. So that should tell you how long I've had it. So
Yeah, when I lived at home, I was running off my dad's 25-gallon compressor. As long as you've got the regulators and moisture traps in the way, compressed air is compressed air. I've seen people airbrush using a tire for their compressor. They compress the air and then use the tire as the reservoir.
that's actually kind of brilliant.
So I just
Ad
looked
hoc
it up.
use, yeah.
I bought the air compressor I have now February 17th, 2013.
Kane class, the one I got to go to. That was 18, wasn't it?
Oh, no, it was 17, I think.
That was the year my guts tried to kill me. We went to the class like 2 months after my guts tried to kill me.
Yep.
Yeah. And Monty sent you cookies.
Yes, and Monty sent me cookies that Jack got to eat, not me.
Yeah, they were delicious.
And I was so happy. Yes, thank you again, Monty. Bring back RFI. We miss you. So,
I don't know if you ever got to meet Jeff Crawley, but he decided since he's getting a new H&S airbrush, he's going to give me his old one.
oh, nice. That is kind of nice.
I prefer the term H&K.
He said mine's complete and utter junk because I'm still rocking a Badger 360.
Workhorse. So, done a lot of work for you.
Yeah, it has.
I'm wondering maybe if we can do another group project while we're up there trying to figure out something that we do as a crew. Anybody got any ideas on something we might want to brainstorm or maybe talk about?
I've had a secret project on the back burner for years, and I've never been able to bring it to fruition. And I can bring the parts to Adepticon, and then we can work on it there. But I have always wanted to run some kind of either NPC run game or something like that with the majority of my townspeople NPCs, because I have roughly 40 just townspeople painted and based, and all like they're Roman citizens, but obviously they're Cal citizens for me. And so I think it'd be really cool is if we had like capture people and sacrifice them for the traitors, or capture people and protect them for the loyalists type game. And that's something that we can either brainstorm while we're at Adepticon, or I can bring the models up. We could try to run something like that, or we can look forward to doing it next year as part of a giant something we can involve the community in.
I was thinking about maybe putting our heads together and trying to come up with, I don't know, some campaign run by us through the cast. Maybe do a couple month long campaign that listeners send us in their games, something like that. I don't know. I just kind of had an idea of something that would be able to involve people playing their hobby in their own places, not having to do anything.
So you're saying
Alex did a while back.
So you're saying for a second contest that we should have.
Are we talking about our contest?
Yeah. So our second contest, though, after this one is finished, that we're going to have Dan give an example of in just a second, but our second contest should be around campaign system.
Ooh.
And having people play it.
Ooh, a unique campaign just for us.
Maybe every campaign game you play is an entry into the drawing for the next contest.
We could even do it like a online slow grow where we give hobby points in addition to gameplay points if we wanted to.
Give additional entries based on what you have painted. That's interesting. Man, y'all are smart coming with ideas like this.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what kind of prize we could get. Maybe we could talk to some people at Adepticon and maybe get some other people to jump in on this and do some custom stuff for it. That'd be kind of neat. Maybe we could do our friend Papa's the Monkey about doing some custom stuff. This sounds like something we should discuss more at Adepticon.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that if Pop doesn't, or Pop will definitely help out with us, but I think that amongst ourselves, I bet we could sweeten the pot even better.
I bet we could. I think we also probably need to come up with the proper information for it, so I think we'll work on that while we're at Adepticon and have a chance to put our heads together.
I like it. Maybe we can throw a Google Doc together and start putting brainstorming ideas down.
That sounds like a great idea.
Well, I was at the Citadel. I bought a new notebook with a fancy Aquila on it. I will bring that with us so we can write ideas.
Ooh.
I like this. So, speaking
I
of
would,
contests,
I wasn't in all the way until we had the Aquila notebook, and now I'm just stoked.
There we go.
It's pretty.
Anyway.
So, speaking of our contests that we currently have running, John, do you want to remind us of what the actual contest is and what's at stake for this contest?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're doing is we're giving away a complete 6x4 table of city fight terrain from our friends at Death Ray Designs, complete with a fat mat from our friends at Fat Mat. That's on a 6x4 fat mat. I will be painting the terrain. It's technically they're flat terrain, but it's going to be completely painted with rubble and all the different things that come with a city, obviously. Posters and different things like that are going to be strewn about. And so this will start on April the 1st and then run through the entire month of April 2024. And so the idea is that you're going to write a couple paragraphs of what your army is and how you came about the ideas for this army. Maybe some fluff for yourself. Just an idea of, why you started down this path. And to kind of give us an example of that, Dan is here to talk through how he did that for his last army.
Well, my first army, actually. But it's the one I developed the most background for. And actually, the story starts with me playing 40K. And probably talked about it before, I'm sure. But my first Marine army was Manus Warriors. I fell in love with the Badab War concept, even just from the little snippets in Rogue Trader. Built my Manus Warriors in 01, 02, 03. And played in some slow girl leagues, was playing them narrative way back then. And when I got into Heresy, I had gotten, a health box and a few other things and was trying to figure out what army I was going to build. And at some point I picked up a plastic night box. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to build a custom night house. And I started thinking, how can I tie 30K and 40K armies together? So I started researching a bunch of lore and digging into some backgrounds. And I realized that the area where Badab is and the Badab War exists or happened is in the 500 worlds. It's way far out away from the center of where everything is going on. But it's in the 500 worlds. And so that got me going with, I can build a custom night house that, if it's in that area, could have existed in the Horus Heresy era and made it through and also exist in the 40K Badab War era. So that, of course, meant that as I built my Ultramarines, I really wasn't focused on Gilliman and named characters and a lot of stuff going on, in the known Heresy stories. So I built out the 89th Legion, which is not a legion mentioned in any stories. And, kind of just started building my my army and lore from there. I stole an idea from there was an old Heresy podcast called Seize the Initiative, and they had someone on that talked about doing their Ultramarine army with each unit having a different color bolter housing to designate the units. So I started building, I built off of that idea. So I've got all my tactical Marines are different color bolt guns. I don't have my sheet in front of me where I have my sergeants and a few of my main characters named. I went to my first event. I had a sergeant that did really well. I promoted him up through Delegatus, through some more of the events I played in. Built him up to now being a praetor that runs with the army. I have most events I've been to. I write a little summary of what happened in a narrative way with the army, kind of how the battles went, what the results are. On the sides, I'll kind of note to myself a lot of the times who I played against, but that's outside kind of the lore story of where the army is. So that's how I started building the list up, and the narrative and the story, and why, I kind of built outside the existing lore, or tangential to the existing lore. Built my list up originally from there. Y'all still here? Did I put you asleep?
Still here.
So yeah. So and that's kind of what I consider to be narrative. The events are run narratively, but I'm always kind of, as I play, building up the story and adding to that background of what's going on with my army.
Yeah, so we're not looking for, where every character was deployed for the last entirety of all 8 years of the Heresy. Obviously, we just, that's a fairly straightforward. This is why I came up with the army. This is what they do. why they do the things that they do in the Heresy and where they were, and then that's pretty much it. It's a great, quick, and easy way to look at what we're looking for the contest. Right, Jack?
Yes, sir. That sounds good.
I talked to Joseph, one of our listeners out there, who's actually going to be at Adepticon with us, and he was asking how big and how much effort he's put into writing out his backstory. Because if you have that much passion for what you're doing and for what you're writing out, more power to you. Don't take this as a call to go all out, whole hog wild unless you personally feel you need to. Remember, there is going to be community voting on this, not just cast voting on that. TLDR does come into effect.
Yeah, you got to think about, some people aren't obviously going to read a giant treatise. I mean, they'll probably think it's cool, and they may skim it. But I mean, obviously, because this is something that's going to be voted on by everyone in the community that comes to the Discord, it's going to be swayed a little bit that way, and maybe brevity being a little better. But honestly, if you're thinking about whether or not you're doing it right, you're probably doing it right. I hate to say it that way, but a lot of people, when they enter contests like this, they don't put a lot of forethought into it or something like that. But if you're putting the amount of forethought into it to think that you might be messing it up, and this is kind of true in life too, if the more you think about you're doing something wrong, you're probably actually doing it right.
And surprise Jamie.
Surprise Jamie.
How you doing, sir?
Jamie, what are you looking forward at Adepticon, and what are you planning on looking for as far as purchases and gaming wise?
So, hanging out with my homies. That's primary number one. Number two, looking for so one of the monument paint sets I kind of dig. There's one color that's in one of the other sets that I kind of want. It's that satin black color. I want to see if I can get one of those. But they're going to be kind of limited from my understanding. The numbers of the individual paints that aren't in the sets. So that I'm actually looking for terrain, to be honest with you. I've got two tables, one of which is like a ZM table, which I've kind of got a lot of that already planned out. I've got the walls and all that done, planned, and started working on them. There's different bays. There's 5 different bays on that table, so I'm looking for stuff to put in the bays, some of which I've already gotten from John, like big crates and pipes and stuff like that. So looking for stuff for that, but then I have another table, and I'm kind of totally don't know what to put on it yet. I mean, I've got the mat for it, so I'm looking for terrain for that. I kind of thought about doing the old Dawn of War Space Marine stuff from Dawn of War 1, the buildings. I don't know if I've looked at them in both resin and MDF. And if I remember correctly, John, don't you have one of those?
Yeah, all my stuff came from Death Ray from their initial Kickstarter.
Okay. So I'm looking for terrain for a table. And then I actually I'm starting to need a new set of paint brushes, like sable paint brushes. The ones I have, they still are decent. They're not great, but they're I'm pushing 15 years with them. So there's a couple of them I definitely need to kind of start thinking about replacing. And paint brushes. Oh, I was looking at airbrushes, but I don't know if I'll get one there just because the airbrushes, when I've been there, like H&S airbrushes, they've been on the high side, let's say. Unless you find some sort of super deal. So I may wait till I get back until a major holiday and get I need to get a low to mid tier airbrush for varnishing and washes, just grunt type work that I don't need anything really special for. I'm gonna replace my lower tier badgers that I'm tired of having to fiddle with them to get them to work at this point. So that's what I'm looking for at Adepticon, but mainly just hanging out with everybody and getting to see everybody. And I have at least one of my armies with me. It may be two. I may bring my Night Lords too, just in case somebody needs an army to play with. Something different that, because I know a lot of y'all have. I know it's hard to believe that a lot of the cast has Ultramarine armies for some reason, and I'm one of the people that doesn't have an Ultramarine army. So it'll be a little something different to play with if anybody needs an army. So that's pretty much it.
Cool. Well, I think we've all pretty much got everything we're definitely looking forward for, and some of the projects we've got lined up, and maybe even some hopes for brainstorming in the future. So what do you think, Jack? Time to land this pig?
I absolutely think it's time to land this pig, especially since I'm fighting on Facebook. I'm pulling a Duncan.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you, everybody. I look forward to seeing anyone I can, and we'll at Adepticon, and looking forward to, obviously everything that 2024 is going to bring us. So always remember to stay accountable to yourself and to your buddy. And on this 74th episode, I've been John. I've been joined by
Brian.
And
Duncan.
Jack.
Jamie.
Brian.
Thanks, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.